John, I want to propose a kind of counter-extremism project across the country from coast to coast. A way to bring more people together in dialogue and overcome some of our tribal divides. The problem is we've been viciously divided and polarized into different tribal moral communities, where we're more unwilling to listen to other people, less prone to see our blind spots, and more prone to demonize others. And it's enshrined a kind of vicious sanctimony into the very fabric of our discourse and made us less able to traverse our problems, whether we're talking about police and community relations or the divide between liberals and conservatives on issues they should come together on, like systemic corruption within the government. And there's been a vicious way, a science of divisive propaganda for the last several decades, going back from Nixon and Reagan onward, that divides people, especially poor whites and poor blacks, and divides people based on mistrust and based on a very primal psychology. And it's made it very difficult for us as a nation to arrive at a win-win scenario where everybody is better off. We see things as a zero-sum game between police, between Black Lives Matter, between the left and right, and this is fundamentally wrong. This is a problematic mindset that we absolutely have to overcome. We should arrive at a non-zero. What a non-zero means is that everybody is better off. If we have a better system of community policing, everybody's better off. Police are safer, residents are better off, and human dignity is more intact. If the left and the right find a way to come together and stand up to the corruption in our government, the revolving door between elite money and politics, this is something that should resonate across the liberal and conservative spectrum. It goes against the very basis of our republic. It goes against classical economics. And nobody should tolerate it. And yet we've been so divided that we're unable to come together on this. If we can reverse this and come together on an issue like that, from coast to coast, across the entire country, that would be a win-win scenario. So these kinds of non-zeros, these ways to make everyone better off, is something we should strive for. What I propose is a kind of a system of multimedia dissemination, done freely and done in a kind of self-organizing, emergent way, where people come together, they collaborate, they build conversation across race, across ideology, and we find more nuanced ways to disseminate these messages and disseminate these conversations and better connect with target audiences across the American landscape, from the suburbs to the inner city, from whites and blacks to working class to high income, to people that identify as progressive, people who identify as conservative. There are ways to better resonate our messages and talk to these people and identify common ground, shared moral terrain, and foster better conversations. This is something our veterans can offer. People who've been to Iraq and Afghanistan and have worked with the tribes in Al-Anbar to try to turn against Al-Qaeda, who've worked with the Afghans and sat down and drank tea with the sub-tribes to help better fight the Taliban. There are ways to traverse these differences and work within tribal systems and work within sectarian and very complex environments. If we can do it abroad, we can do it here. So I propose a kind of collaboration that taps into mass marketing and multimedia skills, and also taps into moral psychology and cognitive psychology to better understand the wiring, the mindsets that many people have on politics and human affairs, so we can better connect with people on the left and right, and we can identify shared commonalities and speak the language that resonates with more people and is able to equip us to fight back, and to better disseminate these messages across target audience and through more media platforms and in ways that can build a movement coast to coast. This is true counter-extremism, and our cities like Charlotte right now, and even my hometown of Atlanta, could fall prey to this under the right conditions. We have to find better ways to bring people together, identify and agree on problems, and force our policymakers to pull their heads out of their ass and start responding to these grievances. We cannot ignore the conditions that gave us Black Lives Matter, and we cannot ignore the conditions that gave us the riots in Charlotte. We have to admit that we're reaching a tipping point in this country and seeing a ripple effect that is the result of pseudoscientific bad policies and conditions of marginalized neighborhoods. It's also the result of a failure of conversation. It's a failure on all sides. We need a better paradigm, a better basis on which to have these discussions, and a kind of counter-tribalism project, a counter-extremism initiative, privately funded, done freely and across different associations, across multimedia. Let's build a network of alternate media to bypass the status quo and fight back as Americans while we build bridges across our differences. And let's reclaim the conversation from ideologues. Thank you.